Hey everybody, welcome back. Episode 21, Fast Motor Podcast. Elijah and my dad, Randy. All good racing again this week. A little bit lighter in terms of for a summer week. I know there's some places that get hit with rain, um, but comparatively speaking to what's been going on, a little bit of a lighter week, but still not a light week by any means. USAC Eastern Storm was running all week. They kicked off at Grandview. Kyle Cummins won. Bridgeport, then Briggs Danner got the win, which he's usually pretty good in Eastern Storm. He was like an East Coast USAC guy, and then was always would run Eastern Storm, would run well, and then now he's a national guy. Then went to Big Diamond. Mitchell Moles got another win, and then he went back to back at Williams Grove. Port Royal got rained out. They went to Action Track. Briggs Danner back in victory lane, and the overall points champion of the week was Kyle Cummins. He's just Mr. Consistency. He finds ways to finish up towards the top. Going up to the West Coast, Wingstuff Super Dirt Cup at Skagit. Thursday saw James McFadden win. Friday saw Brent Marks win. And then Saturday's finale, Brad Sweet got the win there. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see much of it because, my gosh, those shows take forever. You would think that, and I don't know what their crew is like up there, but you got a high limit that we get to watch all the time that know how to get a show in, and Dirt Cup.
I think you just have, there's just two philosophies, right? I think you have the promoters. There's promoters who believe people paid what they paid, and so they want to make sure they extend the night so that they were there 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours, whatever it is. And then you have the promoters like a High Limit. Now, High Limit's built their design so they can be in a X amount of window for TV.
Yep.
They run their, they do everything so it fits a TV format. We're watching on Flow, and, I know I'm the same. If I'm in person, get it done.
Get me through the show.
Get it through. Let us, again, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, but let us go see the crews afterwards. And I think that's some of what High Limits, it is fun because you went and saw multiple shows live, and there's an energy afterwards because the drivers will hang around because they're not exhausted of being there half the night or half the day. It's dirt. Give them the 5 laps, call it good. Line them up for the heat races. Do a track prep. Those tracks ran for so long, they know exactly what they need to do and how long it takes. I have to say, Skagit, for me, I didn't watch either feature because I go to bed by 10 o'clock. And those tracks set, the worst part for me is if they're digging the track up or watering it, I'm okay. I can find something. But when a track is sitting just quiet and there's no more prep going on and nothing's happening, I'm done. I'm calling it good. And I'm getting a little bit cranky, I guess, but it's just, that's it for me.
Yeah.
Because I just take it like you don't even care. You don't even care about me. And maybe you shouldn't care about me on Flow. But, you and I talked a little bit about this before, is if you intrigue me there and you keep me on with social content, now I'm a intrigued fan that's going to follow more. I'm going to follow the series. I'm going to follow the racing. If I'm in person, I'm going because I'm engaged. But, you and I talked offline about this during the weekend. It's a little bit the social content where I can't find the winner, or I can't find the rundown, or I can't find some highlights. They all have social teams, and how they're doing such a horrible job at keeping me up to date is, and I'll search the sanctioning body. I'll search that. Now, I'm not saying that about High Limit. I'm not saying that about even the Outlaws.
The Outlaws and High Limit do a really good job.
They do a good job. But everyone else, including Formula One, IndyCar, even NASCAR, if you go to their page, it's a struggle to find kind of an update or a recap or a highlight. I can go to NASCAR's homepage and I like it, but I can scroll where everybody's running and then I can show what happened or what caused a yellow, and I can go the race over the high points. That's a brilliant job. And how somebody's not incorporating that more into other stuff. But some of it's just frustrating that I have to search as much as I do to find what I want. And then if it takes me that much time, I don't have that much interest. Something else is popping up and grabbing my attention. So,
yeah.
I
go back to your comment about maybe they shouldn't care about us on flow. I think that we owe a lot to flow, to where the success of motorsports in general is right now at the grassroots level of the local tracks and the regional series and even the national series. Like, flow is owed a lot of that because, we were able to watch during COVID, and then it took off, and there's just so much racing showcased. Too much that you could even get lost in the shuffle, but there's so much. These races are on TV now. It's not network TV, but they're on TV. I feel like that should be run, especially these big events, because like you said, like if you run a really good show and then you engage on the socials, this is now a bucket list event, which Dirt Cup and Skagit, like that track looks just gorgeous, and I want to go anyway. Yeah. But like, you can hook people that want to come buy a ticket, buy a meal, spend some time at the track. But you got to create that interest, because I'm in Tennessee, I'm on the East Coast. Yeah, I'm 2 hours behind. But to your point, like I stayed up till midnight on Saturday night after knowing I had to go and coach travel ball the next day. I was already exhausted from coaching travel ball that day, but I was like, I want to watch this because it's usually a really good race. And they finished the quarter midget feature, the focus midget feature. Sprint cars were pushed out right away. And it was like 15 minutes before they even started driver intros. And they had a whole driver intro production, which that's great. Fans there, like, that's cool. I'm okay with that kind of stuff. But it took so long for that to get going. And I'm like, I'm done. I can't make it anymore. I'm exhausted.
I kind of thought about, I was thinking about, my frustration, and I thought, is it warranted? Like, am I feeling what other fans are feeling? And I thought, like, okay, I'm watching it online and I want it to be this way. And I feel like there's data now, right? Because there's flow. If you're doing a flow broadcast, I'm guarantee you're getting data who's chiming in. And when you're losing them, when these people are going away. Like, is everybody looking at this and trying to make it better because of it? Meaning, this is what we have. This is racetracks are not losing fans because of social or streaming, but they're losing the point to draw them in. And here's where I'm going with this is, people have gone to streaming because that's kind of what they want. They want a short window. They want time. They don't want to spend 4 hours at a track any longer. So give me a show that fits into that window. And I get it. Tracks need multiple classes so they can make money. And I get it. But if then that's a support night, you're running a main event only, or you're running, heat races one night. And like, there's ways to do it. And we've got to be fan centric, not racer centric, at a racetrack. And I was a racer all the time. And I know, I appreciate the love and appreciation for the teams, because they're the ones finding a way to get there. They're spending the money, they're grinding it out. And I don't want to take away from them, but I also want to be respectful of their time too, and respectful of the show, and make it, social has proven that people only have X amount of span. NASCAR's going through it. Like, hey, do we run a 500-mile race at Charlotte in the fall? Like, people only want to be there for X amount of hours. Like, they only want to, like, TV has figured out how long people will engage. And flow is proving a model for race tracks to figure out how they need to promote and what they need to do. And you and I know, I'm involved with Digital Cantina, who's taken over Meridian Speedways and Magic Valley's social. and the amount of content trying to draw a fan base. And, that we had that, there was an accident at Meridian Speedway not long ago where the guy got up on the wall and rode around the edge. And that thing gained hundreds of thousands of views. Now, what's interesting is that gained most of those views away from those who follow Meridian Speedway. So that drew people in. Like, there's excitement there. Like, not be what we all want, but it drew excitement. And then if you have the social content that shows that this is something happening, I don't like to go into an empty restaurant. It tells me something's wrong. It tells me it doesn't have the right vibe. It doesn't have good food. It doesn't have something. But if you're social, and we've proven now that we can do social at an affordable business model for a track, and we can draw people in and draw an audience and draw a social audience that then is equivalent to that shows up on a race weekend. Like, promoters need to promote, not manage. And that means they got to come up with Humpy Wheeler type ideas that draw people in and do the job. And, we're seeing tracks die, and everybody wants to say it's because a neighborhood, was built close, and that could be true, or it's this, or it's streaming's killing it. Take a little self-pride and figure out how to survive, not just count all the reasons why. And I know it's not easy. We applaud those like an Adam Nelson that does it well. And there's tracks that have done incredibly well. And I know there's circumstances some tracks can't overcome. I'm not speaking to those. I'm just speaking to those that just want to give all the reasons why they can't do it, but they've not changed anything in 30 years. And that's no longer acceptable.
Yeah, no, 100%. And, none of this is said to bash them or anything, but I think that it could be done better.
Again, if you haven't changed anything in your business model in the last 10 years, you're antiquated and you need to change something.
Yeah. Like, this is an event that I wanted to watch. And this is just one example that happened this weekend. Like this is not just a Skagit Dirt Cup thing. This happens all the time. And I want to watch these races. Like, I want to be invested. But like,
it happens on asphalt.
It happens on asphalt, which that is insane.
It's happening on this. You know what? I have to say it. I mean, I love Berlin Raceway. I finished second there in a non-wing sprint car, and it has a special in Grand Rapids. A former MRN, reporter runs it. Like Johnny Benson's from there. Like, has a lot to me. And the wing sprint cars are going up there for their, million. And I don't know that I'm that excited about watching it because I've watched two shows that take 17 hours to get through. And it just feels like the series has lost momentum because of it. And I know that's not because of the racetracks, that's not the racetracks. That's the sanctioning body that supposedly has drawn that out. We'll see. I think Berlin will step it up. I think there's enough eyes on it right now. It'll be really interesting to see what goes on. And it's not reflective of them, but the series itself has lost its momentum for me.
I agree. I think it's lost a little bit of buzz too. I mean, there was this whole crop of drivers that were kind of in, and they weren't going to make it to Florida, but they were going to make the next one. And it was like, I don't know. It has lost a little momentum. And I want to actually point out on the flip side of a group that has drastically improved their show times is USAC. USAC used to be notoriously bad at it. Eastern Storm this week, I'd flip it on. If I was doing something, I'd check. And heat races were on. I'm like, oh, I've got tons of time for the feature. Hour would go by. I'd be like, oh, let's check in where the show's going at right now because I was busy or doing something. And I'm like, oh, I think like 3 nights in a row, I turned it on and it was 29 laps to go, like 1 lap into the feature. I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're rolling. Like,
I missed it. The support shows were running their feature after.
Well, yeah. So like they've drastically improved in that because they used to be one of the worst at it. They have gotten a lot better, and I'm glad because now next time there's a USAC show on, I'm gonna keep it on through the heat races and stuff because I know that they're gonna get it going. Like it used to be like heat races. Oh my gosh, like they're gonna finish the heat races and there's gonna be an hour break to prep the track, do all this whatever. they've drastically improved. And so that's, the improvement is awesome because now I'm more engaged. It's easier for me to be engaged.
Yeah.
And, I'm not who they should be after personally, but a young fan.
Oh, I think they're exactly who
I'm the demographic. That's what I mean. They shouldn't care that me, Elijah Tolsma, is watching, but a 24-year-old from Tennessee or wherever, like that, I'm going to watch for years to come. So, yeah. So, all right, we'll kind of move on through winning sprint car, kind of keeping the theme. The Huset's High Bank Nationals Wednesday and the Huset's Hustle on Thursday. Buddy Kofoid right where he left off at Huset's. And then he was finally dethroned on Friday. Sheldon Hahn should have got the win. And then Saturday, the big $300,000 two-win show. 2 wing sprint car races that were 6-figure paydays in the same weekend. There was a grand total of $600,000 up for grabs, or not 600, $400,000 up for grabs on Saturday night alone. The Huset's Hustle was another 6-figure payday on Thursday. So pretty wild.
Wing sprint car racing right now is just on fire to me.
It's best that's ever been, I think.
I mean, you have lots of cars. You have the 2 national series. You have some outlaws that kind of go. I mean, true outlaws, not outlaws of the series, but outlaws that go.
Yeah.
You have the posse.
Yep. You got the West Coast guys.
You have the West Coast guys now that have became relevant again.
Yeah.
And like you just have, a Tarleton car won, right?
McFadden won in the Tarleton car on Thursday.
Right.
And then Sweet won in the Silva West Coast W.
Yeah.
On Saturday, which that's a West Coast car.
Yeah. And you had Jet, who's young and upcoming, up running. You had Sanders that was, there. Like, you're starting to see that next crop of talent, but you also it's just good racing all across. Like, I don't have dirt vision, so I don't follow the outlaws as much, but when the high limit goes there or the outlaws come here, there's that little bit of rivalry, but that's good.
It's intriguing.
But it's so healthy.
So I think a testament to how healthy it is Darren Pittman and a Pennsylvania posse car, the Kreitz 69K, was running in Skagit in northern Washington.
Yeah.
A posse car out there. And then you had Brent Marks, who's a national guy now, but he was a posse guy.
Yeah.
Like, guys are going and traveling and going chasing money. I mean, that's what you want. I mean, it's so healthy. I think it is absolutely wild that there's 2 6-figure paydays kind of shows competing against each other. I don't know who's scheduled first, but beside the point, I mean, so healthy. The guys have options to go and run, and they can go run for big money multiple places. Like, that's just awesome for the sport.
Yeah.
A little bit about Huset's. I wanted to talk of Buddy Kofoid. I know he didn't win Friday or Saturday, but he had 5 straight or 6 straight at Huset's. Like, on asphalt, sometimes there's guys that have a place figured out that, like, that's their spot. You go there and you know that they're going to be tough. And there's guys on dirt as well. But that level of dominance at a place over a 2 or 3 year span, or I guess it's just a 2-year span, like, on dirt, that's pretty unheard of.
Well, and he's not a local, right? That's not where he grew up. So, you go into Williams Grove, or you go into some of these tracks where the posse guys run weekly, and they just know their track. They know, when the sun goes down, how it's watered, how it's prepped, what's going to go on, how many cars lay rubber. They learn, right? That's why locals do so well sometimes against the traveling. But to be in a traveling series and find what he needs there, because as a driver, when you have success somewhere, you know what you felt, meaning, like, I knew what I needed at Homestead. Like, that was just a place I knew. I knew what I needed at Richmond. I knew what I needed at Milwaukee. Like, you knew how I needed whatever the car was, if it was a Silver Crown car, midget, truck, whatever, that you you had a feeling that you needed to give back to you to be successful. But on dirt, and when you're not there weekly, to know what he needs at that place and then to keep up with it is, I don't know. It's, I guess you think about Hewitt being so dominant at Eldora for years.
Yeah. Another one is Carson Macedo I don't know if it's at Jackson or if it's at Jacksonville, but he's really dominant at one of those.
You see some guys on the USAC, what is it? Circle City.
Yeah, but there's a few of them that are always going to be up there. Like it's a Kyle Cummins, but it's also a Kevin Thomas Jr.
Yeah.
So to have like one, and again, he got dethroned and that's that, but have one guy on a dirt track that they're not running at every week and putting a bunch of laps in, like it's.
I'm sure it's feel. I'm sure it's confidence.
Confidence for sure. I think it just probably goes to show how predictable that track, I guess, could be.
Yeah.
Of it's going to do the same things however they prep it, however they do whatever, it's going to produce very same.
Yeah. But temperature changes, how rubber gets laid down, or like there's a lot of things. There's a lot of variables in dirt.
There's a lot of variables on dirt. So I think it's just when a guy's got it figured out on a dirt track, it's pretty impressive because there's so much that varies. Just interesting. Moving over, CRA at Paris, Brody Roa back in victory lane, which he has been away from full-time racing for a few years now, but he's always been good at Paris. He's been good there for years. And then the ASA Stars National Late Model Series was at Slinger. Carson Brown got the win in a really good battle between him and Ty Majeski late. Majeski was coming and then got to him and just couldn't quite get the run. They they battled, raced hard, raced clean. It was a fun race. Kind of unfortunate there was only 15 cars there at Slinger.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any locals, so I guess local guys didn't think they could compete or whatever it may be. But
is there a rule package scenario with the ASA stuff
that I'm not sure about? If there is, that's awful.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like Slinger, which is like the Slinger Nationals. I mean, hotbed of super late model racing. And yeah, there's only 15 cars and they're pretty much all touring guys or guys who have at one point toured. There's a couple regional guys that travel regionally, but a good race, a really good race, a really good field, a group of really competitive cars. But yeah, just car count was down a little bit for super late models, especially this time of year. So that was interesting, but like I said, good race. ARCA at Berlin, Max Reeves won and mouthed off again and whatever. The kid's going to have a ride somewhere because his daddy owns Cookout and he thinks that makes him really good when he has a car that can lap the field. So, not a fan. Not a fan.
Really? I didn't get that at all. You always need a villain. And humility always comes. When you think you own a series and you can do whatever you want, that next step is compounded huge. Obviously we had, Heim win and these guys have gone on, but there's those that there'll be some humility.
There,
sure. But he'll also get in very good stuff in the next ride.
Yep.
With very good people, and that helps a lot. But
he'd be more tolerable if he could cut his hair. But and then before we get to the Coronado stuff, I'll go IndyCar Road America. Christian Lundgaard got the win. I didn't see the race, but Road America is such a cool track.
It's a great track. Yeah, I remember.
I wish NASCAR was still going there.
Yeah. I remember when we were doing some AMG Mercedes work there, and we were just, it was pretty simple and I'm trying to think of who it was that came up there, and we were talking about where we were braking, and we were just in, this isn't a street car, but they were still fast. AMG Mercedes are super powerful cars, and we were talking about braking markers, and we were braking very safe. Don't get me wrong, we were not pushing it like racing them. And then there was an IndyCar driver there, and he'd said where they brake, and it was just insane. And this is quite a few years ago. So you think of, I remember being at Indianapolis, and this is, a long time ago. And I was impressed with two things. One, the horsepower was not that much greater than I was used to, but the gears were, like, be able to grab gears in that lightweight car and get up to speed. So it just pushed you back. You really felt the speed. But then coming in from the track to pit road and going from your 200 plus miles an hour down to, whatever the 40 or 60 was the speed limit, and how well the car would brake then. I think that's what most people would be more impressed with than speed or power, is the braking distance, is just how hard they brake.
When I rode in the 2-seater with Davey at Long Beach, it was like, the first impressive thing was when we were going down the front stretch and the air started to push the helmet up. And it was like, whoa, we're moving. And then it went to brake, and it was just like, boom, and it like sat you right down. It was it was like, okay, this fast is cool. And then the braking, it was like, oh my gosh, that's insane. Because and it's the 2-seater ride. It's they go fast, but it's not racing.
Right.
So yeah, it was wild. So
but those big long straightaways that
at Road America. Oh my gosh!
And then to go into the braking, I'm sure that's. I wish TV could capture that.
Yeah.
Better. I thought the F1 movie actually caught some of the speed and some of the braking, and they used some really unique video from the car to the outside, and they captured, if it was enhanced or whatever, but it captured what it's like.
Yes.
For the first time that I really have seen that.
Yeah. And to capture a feeling of braking on camera is going to have to take some enhancement and stuff like that. But, they had Lewis Hamilton help working with them on that movie, and they did a really good job. Because, like, when the camera would shift down, when you'd go into the corner, like, I want the crew or the technology that did that movie to do something with, I would love for them to do something with sprint cars, but at least something with NASCAR. Of like a Darlington where they're sliding around fighting for grip, something like that. Like,
you wish you could almost see the yaw. Like, they had a graphic that you could see the yaw in the car, or the, like, least a late in a run to see who, you can see him twitch loose, but sometimes you don't know what loose means. Like, temperatures on the tires or grip, or, but teams could use it to their advantage. So it'll probably never happen, but to see some of that telemetry live would be really interesting. So fans can get a real perspective of what's going on.
Yeah. Speaking of cinematic racing, Naval Base Coronado all weekend long was just awesome. The car, the bumps and airtime and sideways through like the high speed zones, like they were just wrestling those beasts all weekend, and it was awesome. Every bit awesome.
I mean, I don't know if it makes a great weekend or not, but anytime you have that much content for social, like, tells you something. Like, the cars off the ground, like Sonoma will be good, right? You get on the curbs and you get that. And we've seen that for so long that maybe you get numb to it. But, over the hill where they were catching air, there was hard hits, they moved barricades, drivers angry after, which was good. I saw a Heim, and we're jumping ahead, but burning out in front, and the aircraft carriers behind him, and the grandstands up on the carrier. There was so much done well. And we can kind of go back and talk the trucks, and we can talk Riley, but the one thing that I love, and I think this race almost has to have a streaming service do the TV, because of there was so much pre-race stuff that just made you feel like this was a special race. Like,
yeah.
I hate to say this, and it's not quite, but it almost made you feel like you were getting ready for the Indy 500. The race was almost secondary to all the pomp and circumstance.
Yeah.
It just had an energy about it. I learned how many you got to feed on a submarine. And I know that might not be what race fans want, but it was just intriguing to me that there was more about this than just cars on a track. And I think for the fan away from the venue, it was fantastic to have so much and see so much. And you could just feel the energy by how much prep work was done. I'm sure it had some, hiccups getting a bunch of people on an island and going through security.
120,000 people there all weekend.
Yeah. And a military base and, enough food and enough toilets and, whatever that might be. It's the first time. So there's lots of learnings and who knows if they'll ever go back. But I don't know that if it would have just been on any network TVs, we're starting 15 minutes early so you can hear the national anthem and the prayer, and we're going racing, if it would have ever captured what that weekend meant. And the trucks did well, don't get me wrong. Like, Lane Riggs has proven you put him on a street course circuit, he's about legit. As good as like he's not going to be beat. Like he's
Lane Van Rigsbergen.
Yeah, that was very good.
Like, that was pretty funny. But yeah, so. We'll go kind of in order. The truck race. I mean, it was just super entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, front Jimmy row Johnson, had good trucks for both their guys.
Jimmy Johnson was up front for a good portion, and he's leading for a good portion of it. Like, that's awesome. And then, you had that battle at the end between Rife and Riggs, and, Riggs was behind him and kind of showed just a little bit of nose like he was going to, and Rife, you got to feel for that kid of
well, I mean, let's talk about that. I think I go back with him to the Dodge Ram tryout thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where he spoke up a little bit and said, hey, I don't think these are all equal. And, and I'm sure it's for TV and I'm sure there's some behind the scenes, but he kind of got reprimanded and told you got to find a way to suck it up and be this guy.
I don't know, made me not a fan of.
Yeah, but it's TV. Let's go that we had to make drama. So, but it still digs into you a little bit. Like it doesn't get me wrong. And so then you have a kid who finds his way in the front, like hasn't been there. Like this is it. Like, and he probably, let's say he has some sponsorship money and he gets X amount of races. You could see in the way he was speaking, like we're counting down that I'm running out. Yeah. These are I only have X amount of opportunities to make it. Like Ryan Priest, when he said, I'm going to take all the money and up in a Gibbs car instead of filtering it out to a bunch of mid-level cars.
Yep.
Because I'm going to capitalize on it. And if that's what, Reef is doing, he knows he's got to capitalize. And he did. And here he is in the front. I remember when the Dole truck was at Bakersfield, we hadn't been running up front where I was a consistent, lead pack truck. I was a second part of the top 10, kind of 8th, 9th, top 5, getting the top 5s, but not really leading laps and being up there in that place. And I got it. And you're towards getting to the ends of that race. And it was like, my God, this is real. And as much as you're concentrating on the racing, there's, and so, he knows he's leading that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now he has, Riggs behind him and, trying to block, but trying to run an optimal line because let's break it down for maybe those that don't get it. road racing is, obviously you pass by often by outbraking the guy into the corner, but you found that speed leaving the last corner because you left early. So if he alters his line, that means he doesn't leave the next corner in an optimum line, which means the other truck can, do a late apex and exit, and it's going to hinder him, down at the end of the next straightaway. So he might be blocking one lap, but now he has to really block the next because of the speed. And he's trying to look in the mirror, and that place, they were talking about on the cup that they had actually was showing where the grip was and wasn't. And, you saw people progress over the weekend where they got better and the track came in. So the truck guys were at a much more disadvantage where the track hadn't rubbered up as much.
Yes.
So just making that little bit of error. But you know what? He gained respect from numerous people.
Oh, yeah.
Showed that he has the talent. He handled it with dignity and grace, and he'll find his way. Like, he might not have won, but he might as well have won. Like, what it did for his career is just as good as winning in my mind.
Yeah, he showed that he is a good race car driver.
Yeah.
And I've seen him run some ARCA stuff and stuff like that. Like, I'd known him beforehand, and I knew that he had some talent, but didn't have the big powerhouse funding that some do. Obviously, it takes some funding, so he's got some sponsorship, whatever. But yeah, like you said, he handled it, and you could see how much it hurt, but he handled it well. And that's a tough situation on a very tough track, and it was impressive nonetheless.
Yeah.
Lane Riggs also very impressive again on a street course. Like, that team and him have found speed everywhere.
Yeah, they're
the
team right now.
They're the team to beat for sure. The O'Reilly race, another wild one. Austin Hill got the win, RCR's first win since losing Kyle. So that was cool. And yeah, I mean,
the one thing that it showed me too in some aspects is, that they determined that if you were a full-time driver, you couldn't run both series and you couldn't do this and that. I think Austin Hill gained. He's good on road courses.
Yes,
he's proven he's good on road courses. Yes. So there's nothing new there. But those extra laps certainly didn't hurt him, I don't believe.
No, they did not.
Yeah, and you saw that with you.
Yeah, I was really in the O'Reilly race. Was really rooting for Carson Kvapil to finally get his, and he got dumped.
Yeah,
flat out dumped. And Gray was talking about it was all wheel hop, and I was wheel hopping all this and stuff like that. And it's like he gave him an infinite amount of room. And
well, let's we can talk about it and then we can go right into the Cup race. Yeah. Jimmy spoke about it. Jimmy is the true veteran that had many laps and dropped down to the trucks and just said, wow, there is just no respect. Like, there's just no, and I kind of can get it in the truck series because they're all trying to prove their point.
I was going to say, they're all fighting for an opportunity.
Yeah. And they think it's their last shot. And they're just trying to win when they can. And there's a part that I get with
you don't necessarily agree with it, but you get it.
Yeah. And then you have a little bit of that in the O'Reilly mix, right? Where you have your guys that are winning every week. You have, Allgaier. You have,
Austin Hill now.
Austin Hill, is pretty. He's a little bit up and down, but he's won enough that there's a confidence in the winning.
Yes.
Jesse Love. You have those guys that know that either their career is made where it's at or they've got opportunities to go on.
Yep.
And so there's kind of a level of maturity that you gain that I don't have to win this race and prove a point to have a future in the sport. And I know what that's like. I mean, I know what you're trying to say. If I could win a handful of races, people know I can do this. You know, you win one and it's like, did he just luck into it? You win two, oh, that's good. But you win, you start winning more and people begin to go, okay, they know how to win. And so, you have that. But I think you saw, and people can say that they like this or not like this, but Reddick, Heim ran him clean and Reddick screwed up. And we saw this a couple times. Did Keselowski do it as well? Or somebody got into somebody?
It happened throughout the field.
Yeah.
This one was just big because it was literally for the race win.
Right. And he's like, man, I didn't do it fair. Like, you're going to be my teammate. Like, I'm not going to do this. Like,
I gained a lot of respect for Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, I did too. And then you're going to have those that say, you do whatever it takes to win. I don't care.
Yep. And I can appreciate that.
I can appreciate it. It was just never my style. My style was, I want to flat out beat you. And I want to beat you because I either made a mistake or, and some of that means the bumper a little bit and, loosening them up and playing games and making them do, like a Rife mistake. But you don't dump them or you don't completely just take them out. So you
have no shot.
So I had to respect that, but it happened more times than not. Like, hey, oh, whoa, I screwed up. I wheel hopped. I did whatever. And that's not cool. I'm gonna let you go and I'll try to fight you back.
Yeah. I think I saw it on it was a clip from Actions Detrimental on Twitter today that Denny was talking about. McDowell did it for him. Like, he got into him, or kind of put him in a bad spot and then like kind of went off. And then Denny kind of was back by him and he, kind of let him go back by. I kind of gave him the spot on the braking zone. Like, it happens. You have these guys that, have the respect and appreciation of like, okay, hey, I screwed up. And I almost think that that's even more competitive than win no matter what, just because you have, like you said, you have that fire. Like, I'm going to beat you outright. I'm not going to beat you because I got to you and then just shoved you wide. That doesn't showcase that I'm a better race car driver than you, or we had a better car that day. Like, I'm going to beat you because I was able to make an opportunity and pounce on the opportunity or whatever, which Reddick did. He made that opportunity, that crossover move, like just right across his back bumper. It was like, oh, good move there. And then, and then he made the mistake. He just drove it in too hard. And
I mean, to me, like, you can win a race. Like, there's times that you won races that you didn't have the best car. Like, you just kind of went your way. They don't feel near as good as when you drove a great race. Like, there's races that I know I drove a great race that was winning quality race and I didn't win, and those hurt like that.
Yeah.
That I can remember. Homestead in '99 will be probably the most pain I ever felt in racing, because we sat on the pole, we were dominant, just dominant. Like, like the truck rolled to center and I could accelerate and get under people and make moves. And I was passing for the lead, and I was passing, the Hornadays and the Spragues and the good dudes. And we were just good. And then, we would pit, and that was the first time the trucks ever pitted live. And I would come in first and go out, 15th.
So you have a cup crew on you guys.
And then drive all the way to the front and get the lead, and then pit, and then go 17th and drive all the way to the lead. And then, then we decided, and what people don't know is really interesting. Somebody wrote me on Twitter the other day saying they were just watching that race, and they're like, man, you were dominant. And I'm like, well, what you don't know is the brake pedal was sticking down. So when I would go into the corner and apply the brake, I'd have to put my foot underneath the brake and pull it back up because it would stay down. And I mean, that's just how good everything was going. That's how good we were. And so when we decided to pit, we decided we would pit kind of short pit and then pit under green, because we thought that might be better for us with the pit crew stuff and not with all the other stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I came in and went to brake, and so I ran through the approach lane and did braking, and I got some wheel hop, but the brake pedal stuck down and I couldn't get off of it. So I looped before pit road. And then we were so low on fuel that my rear wheels were they were on the grass off the asphalt, and it wouldn't restart. And so I went down 2 laps or whatever, and we got our laps back and we started, but we were starting like 12th, whatever. And I ended up crashed, but because I probably drove a stupid move, trying to make too much, trying to catch up, because I knew I
make up for it.
And that you just knew it was your race and you lost it. And so when you know it's your race, so it's the same when if you take somebody out, just flat take them out, that doesn't feel so good. Like it doesn't feel like when you made the move and won a race. Like there's winning still felt good and you'll celebrate, and in the record books you're still good, but it doesn't feel like that good in your soul. Yeah. I'm sure there's drivers that are driving today that are much better than me that do not care. Like whatever they take to get a win, and a win is all that matters. And yeah, I mean, but guess what? He took out Corey Heim a couple years ago in Phoenix. And
Corey Heim had no patience.
and I don't have to drive him that way. And
that's coming through now. And this shows you race car drivers don't forget.
Right. Because you know who raced you that way and who doesn't. And you don't feel guilty about the ones that didn't.
Yeah, no.
I can even make friends with them, but I wouldn't race them the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and what's even like I didn't even see that get brought up until well after the fact, because I thought of it like when it was happening. I'm like, oh, he just dumped him, and then I was like, and I thought about their history at Phoenix, and it was like, well, he's gonna run them that way, and I don't think he's losing any sleep over that move and win.
I think I saw some X comments today where somebody wrote about Heim not having patience or running them clean, and he popped up a clip of Hocevar, not that clip, but a clip of Hocevar saying, "Here's how it works. Like I'm getting by you. I don't care what it takes."
Was they want him talking of just get out of the way?
Yeah.
I
have to say, I don't like Heim. Take the high road, do the deal. You won the race. Go. You don't need to be talking smack in Cup yet. But it's who he is, and he fits with the team that he's at. It's Denny talks trash. Bubba talks trash, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just they're the basketball kind of narrative of just talking smack and trash and having fun, and I think it's amongst that group. But so he fits into that, and that team recruited well for the type of driver they wanted.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not the biggest of Corey Heim fans, but got to respect the talent for sure. I mean, 13th Cup start, winning in your 13th start is just something about 13 is just really impressive. Winning your 13th start. For those who don't know, Dad won in his 13th start in the Truck Series. So, yeah, but I mean, at that place, and then to conclude, I'll just go back to my original comments about the whole weekend. The racing was great. It was exciting. There was battles. Oh, I did forget. I wanted to talk about, there was another point. Noah Gragson and Kevin Magnussen got into it at the end of the race, and there's a clip of both of them. And then I saw some onboard clips, and Magnussen got into him. Nothing egregious, but got into him. Noah kind of door slammed him down the straightaway. And that was kind of that. Noah got by. Noah kind of took off and went. And then Magnussen got back to him, I believe. And he got by him clean. And then Noah shoved him again. And so then Magnussen dumped him in the chicane.
Yeah.
And then Noah went and wanted to talk to him about it and was upset. And Magnussen told him to F off and wouldn't really have the conversation. on the one hand, just strictly looking at that race, I don't think that Magnussen is in the wrong. But you have Noah Gragson, who is literally fighting for his life in a contract year. His career, very unknown past this point. Yes, it's a race, it's a competition. Here's a guy who his career has been what it's been. It's a very successful career in sports cars, been in F1, all this stuff. He's coming in for one race. Is it fair from a racer? Is it fair?
It's a race.
Okay.
Like he has a job to do. He's been hired to come in and do well too. And I think, now if you had 5 guys all complaining about the way he drove, it'd be one thing.
Yeah.
Everything I saw, and that's a very small snapshot of what it was, I don't think he was wrong.
No, I don't think he was wrong either at all.
So, now what happens to somebody like Noah, and this is just my view, is he has a teammate that's running up front every week, and that hurts. I don't care what it is. Like everybody thinks everybody's equal, all the stuff's equal, whatever that means. Zane Smith is out, kicking his coverage right now. In my mind, that dude is showing everything why everybody thought how good he was.
Mm-hmm.
He's qualifying up front. He's running up front. I mean, he's a top 10 guy every week.
Yep.
He has guys in the 20th positions.
Yep.
Like, it's impressive. I don't think he's getting the credit that he should be getting right now for the consistency on all of the tracks. Michigan,
Nashville,
here, like,
yeah.
Like everywhere you go, he's putting that car in the front. And so then you have a teammate that's in a contract year, and we all know they bring money, they have financing. So, it's all about that too. But, it gets frustrating, and you're just back there trying to do something. And I'm sure if Noah looks at it all today and sees all the replay and sees it, he might have a very different opinion, or not. I don't know.
I don't know that he would.
So that talks a little bit about silly season. You have Noah that's there, hasn't resigned. I don't really know who else is out now. There's a lot of talk.
Rumors about the 48.
What's that?
There's a bunch of rumors about the 48.
There's always a bunch of rumors of the 48. I did hear a quote this week that as long as Alex Bowman wants that seat, it's his. Now they're not re-signed, and I don't know if Alex Bowman wants that seat. I don't know. Like,
true.
I mean, the guy's been hurt a lot.
He has been, and he's had some serious ones.
Yeah. So, does he want to continue? Like, trying to read the socials and read how, like, all that's going on to run bad week in and week out. Like, I don't know. That's not fun. That's not fun to be back there, especially in Hendrick stuff.
Yeah. No. And,
there's a lot of rumors Noah goes into the 8 or the 33.
Really not Austin Hill. Just keep rolling.
No, Bass Pro likes Noah so well.
That would make sense.
If that's all true, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
don't know how much longer Brad goes either in the 6. Now they haven't gotten a third charter yet, but rumors are that they're working on it. So
yeah, where does that come from? What happens? What rides open up? If Bowman stepped out, what does that mean? Does that mean, who's where? Like,
does that mean Corey Day? Does that mean Zane Smith? Does that mean Connor Zilic?
I would hope not Corey Day yet. I don't. I love him, and I'm a huge fan of his. But if that team, one thing that would scare me is that team's not running up front with somebody who can run up front.
Yes.
So he's not going to know what he needs in that car, and it's different. Now there's a part of why does he need to learn more about that car that he's running in O'Reilly, but he needs to learn some racecraft. He needs to learn how to be, he's ran good races, but he hasn't ran a couple good races now. Like, he's got to have that consistency.
The Coronado deal was not really.
He crashed practice.
Yes, but so did half the field. There was a bunch of cars that were just all white or all black.
I just think that next level, he needs to gain confidence in consistency.
I agree with you, but I'm just playing devil's advocate a little
bit here. If they offered it, he better take it.
You better take
it. I mean, I'm not saying that, but I'd love to see their development in one more year with some cup races, and then go.
I
don't know. I don't know how things line up for that.
So I don't know how he gets some cup races. That doesn't really happen like it used to. Aside from a couple of, like, the 33 car was like a part-time car, but
yeah, it's tricky.
Not a lot of teams have that.
Well,
extra car anymore.
Even if you had Hendrick Resources, Junior could run a car maybe, but you don't run. It's not chartered or.
You could run an open car, but regardless, that.
Because I was thinking Spire, but you can't even go do that because of they have 3 cars, so.
They do have 3 cars. They'd have to run a 4th.
Yeah.
Hendrick can't run a 5th because it's not allowed anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Can Hendrick run a 5th and it not be chartered?
I don't know the exact rule on that, but I want to say no.
I don't know.
I
think we just talked to charters.
Maybe they're only capped at 4 charters. I'm not actually sure what the actual rule is. But I don't think there hasn't been a 4-car team run a 5th car since. Yeah. It's also this new car, they don't have as many of them. So, it'll be interesting to see kind of what goes on with drivers and stuff. And there was another point that I wanted to make about specifically this weekend, but kind of also what we kind of been seeing kind of through the year of the guys who are kind of newer and are willing to do the sim work. You're starting to see the difference that's making. Like, you got like a Bubba Wallace who does a ton of sim stuff. Carson Hocevar does a ton of sim stuff. Riley Herbst, I'm sure, is willing to do a ton of sim stuff. And then, yes, 2311, their equipment is phenomenal. You've got Corey Heim is probably doing a ton of sim work. You've got these kind of younger, kind of newer generation of racer that are starting to really elevate their craft doing the sim side of things, where you have some of your guys that are just racers, like a Larson, who's, they're finishing up there, but they're struggling for their standards. They're really struggling. They haven't won in a while. You got Joey Logano, who's struggling, which, again, Penske is struggling, and a lot of equipment has to do with it. But I thought it interesting when I was watching it of, like, Zane Smith has, he will do the sim work. Like, there's these guys that are kind of.
It's interesting, though, because then you go, William Byron's known for sim work.
It's true.
Was the sim driver for Hendrick prior to all of this.
Yes. There's definitely both sides, for sure.
I mean, Hendrick's off.
Bad.
I mean, because Chevrolet is not as off as Hendrick is off.
No.
You have Kyle Larson, who can just find speed, wheel a car somehow. He's willing it, past that. But that's they're. I mean, when you see Spire consistently up front and running up front, and Hendrick behind them, they're off.
Off.
And that's always I don't ever like seeing it, so I like it. I'm a Hendrick fan, so
yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of the organization, just the way that they're ran and everything, and I like all those drivers.
But I felt bad. They were even talking. I heard commentary today, and we finish it up. But here's Riley Herbst, finishes 8th. Was I think one time running top 5
at the
very end, and they were running him down, and they on 2311, and they passed him up. They had Reddick, Heim, and Bubba, and they forgot. Here's Riley Herbst having fantastic.
Well, the others were 1, 2, 3. He was 5.
Yeah, but I mean, still part of the story.
Yeah, they're all
and
4
he's running
cars.
well. I mean, he's getting very consistent. That tells you how good their stuff is. I know
Yes.
I hate saying that against him because I don't know the kid, and I hear he's a good kid, but you know, he doesn't have the Corey Heim talent.
Yeah. But he's putting together. They're running well.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
makes the sport great.
That's
what makes the sport great.
It does. You don't know. You don't know who's going to be good on a given weekend. We have more of an idea right now, but it can change. And it's the motorsports, as we keep saying, and we will say it as long as it keeps going the right direction. Motorsports across the board is in such an amazing spot right now. It's so fun to be a race fan. So, all right. I think this is the longest you and I have gone just on our own. So we kind of rambled on a little bit, but this episode 21, keep checking in every Wednesday morning, Spotify and YouTube. And we will see you guys next week to check in with how our bracket is doing in the opening round at Sonoma next week. So we'll see you guys next week.